Welcome to our comprehensive guide on hypothesis development in medical research. In this video, we'll explore the fundamental role hypotheses play in shaping scientific studies, especially in the medical field. Whether you're a student, a researcher, or just curious about how medical discoveries are made, understanding hypotheses is the first step. We'll start by defining what a hypothesis is, why it's crucial, and how it guides the research process from start to finish. Let's embark on this journey to uncover the secrets behind successful medical research, beginning with the basics of hypothesis formulation. Hypothesis is essentially an educated guess or a proposed explanation made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for further investigation. In medical research, a hypothesis provides direction and focus, helping researchers decide what data to collect and how to interpret it. It's more than just a random idea, it's a statement that can be tested through scientific methods. By clearly stating what you expect to find, a hypothesis sets the stage for meaningful and structured research. Medical research, hypotheses can take several forms. The most common are the null hypothesis and the alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis suggests that there is no effect or no difference, while the alternative hypothesis proposes that there is an effect or a difference. Understanding these types helps researchers design experiments that can clearly support or refute their ideas. Choosing the right type of hypothesis is essential for drawing valid conclusions from your study. Hypotheses serve as the backbone of any scientific investigation. In medical research, they help transform broad questions into specific, testable statements. This clarity allows researchers to focus their efforts, allocate resources efficiently, and interpret results with confidence. A well-crafted hypothesis not only guides the research process, but also ensures that the study remains objective and systematic from start to finish. For formulating a hypothesis, researchers begin with a research question. This question arises from gaps in existing knowledge or from observations in clinical practice. A good research question is clear, focused, and feasible. It sets the direction for the entire study and helps in narrowing down the scope to something manageable and meaningful. From this question, a testable hypothesis can be developed. Once a research question is established, the next step is to translate it into a hypothesis. This involves predicting an outcome based on existing knowledge, theory, or preliminary data. For example, if your question is whether a new drug lowers blood pressure, your hypothesis might state that patients taking the drug will have lower blood pressure compared to those who do not. This transition from question to hypothesis is a critical step in designing effective medical research. Strong hypothesis is specific, testable, and based on sound reasoning. It should clearly define the variables involved and state the expected relationship between them. In medical research, this means specifying the population, intervention, comparison, and outcome. A good hypothesis is also simple and concise, making it easier to design experiments and interpret results. These characteristics ensure that your research stays focused and scientifically valid. Variables are the building blocks of any hypothesis. In medical research, the independent variable is what you manipulate, such as a treatment or intervention, while the dependent variable is what you measure, like patient outcomes. Clearly identifying these variables helps in designing experiments and analyzing data. It also ensures that your hypothesis is structured in a way that can be tested scientifically. Operational definitions specify exactly how variables will be measured or manipulated in a study. For instance, if your hypothesis involves improved health, you need to define what improved health means, perhaps lower blood pressure or reduced symptoms. Clear operational definitions make your research reproducible and ensure that other scientists can understand and replicate your work. Hypotheses in medical research can come from various sources. These include previous studies, clinical observations, theoretical frameworks, or even unexpected findings. Sometimes a review of the literature reveals gaps or inconsistencies that inspire new hypotheses. Being aware of these sources helps researchers stay innovative and grounded in scientific evidence. Conducting a thorough literature review is a key step in hypothesis development. By examining existing research, you can identify what is already known and where the gaps are. This process not only helps refine your research question but also ensures that your hypothesis is original and relevant. A strong literature review provides the foundation for a solid hypothesis. Theoretical frameworks provide a structured way to develop hypotheses. In medical research, these frameworks are often based on established scientific theories or models. By grounding your hypothesis in a theoretical framework, you ensure that your research is logically consistent and scientifically sound. This approach also helps in interpreting results within a broader scientific context. Many hypotheses in medical research are inspired by clinical observations. Doctors and healthcare professionals often notice patterns or trends in patient outcomes that spark new research questions. These real-world observations can lead to practical and impactful studies, especially when combined with scientific reasoning and evidence from the literature. Formulating a hypothesis involves turning your research question into a clear, testable statement. This means specifying the variables, the population, and the expected relationship. For example, in adults with hypertension, a low-sodium diet will reduce blood pressure compared to a regular diet. This clarity makes it easier to design experiments and analyze results. Hypotheses can be directional or non-directional. A directional hypothesis predicts the specific direction of the relationship between variables, such as drug A will lower blood pressure more than drug B. A non-directional hypothesis simply states that there will be a difference without specifying the direction. Choosing the right type depends on your research goals and existing evidence. Once a hypothesis is formulated, the next step is to test it through scientific experiments or observational studies. Hypothesis testing involves collecting data, analyzing it, and determining whether the results support or refute the hypothesis. This process is fundamental to scientific progress as it allows researchers to draw evidence-based conclusions. Well-designed study is essential for testing hypotheses effectively. This involves choosing the right study design, such as randomized controlled trials, cohort studies, or case control studies based on your research question and hypothesis. Careful planning ensures that your results are reliable and that your hypothesis can be properly evaluated. Defining your study population and sampling method is crucial. The population refers to the group you want to study, while the sample is the subset you actually observe. A representative sample ensures that your findings can be generalized to the broader population, making your hypothesis testing more meaningful. Collecting accurate and reliable data is essential for hypothesis testing. In medical research, data can be gathered through surveys, clinical measurements, laboratory tests, or electronic health records. The choice of method depends on your hypothesis and the variables involved. Consistent and precise data collection strengthens the validity of your study. To test a hypothesis accurately, it's important to control for confounding variables, factors that could influence the results. In medical research, this might mean randomizing participants or using control groups. Proper control ensures that any observed effects are truly due to the variables you're studying, not outside influences. Statistical analysis is used to determine whether the data support your hypothesis. Common techniques include t-tests, chi-square tests, and regression analysis. These methods help quantify the relationship between variables and assess the likelihood that your findings are due to chance. Proper statistical analysis is key to drawing valid conclusions in medical research. After analyzing your data, the next step is to interpret the results. This involves comparing your findings to the original hypothesis and determining whether the evidence supports or refutes it. Interpretation should also consider the study's limitations and the broader context of existing research. Clear interpretation helps communicate the significance of your findings. Reporting your findings accurately and transparently is a critical part of the research process. In medical research, this often means publishing results in scientific journals or presenting at conferences. Clear reporting allows others to evaluate your work, replicate your study, and build on your findings, advancing the field as a whole. Before research is published, it typically undergoes peer review. This process involves independent experts evaluating the study's methods, analysis, and conclusions. Peer review helps ensure that only high-quality, scientifically sound research is shared with the medical community and the public. Ethics are paramount in medical research. When developing and testing hypotheses, researchers must ensure that studies are conducted with respect for participants' rights and well-being. This includes obtaining informed consent, protecting privacy, and minimizing risks. Ethical research builds trust and ensures the integrity of scientific findings. Developing hypotheses in medical research is not without challenges. Common pitfalls include vague hypotheses, poorly defined variables, and inadequate study design. Being aware of these issues helps researchers avoid mistakes that can compromise the validity of their findings. Careful planning and attention to detail are essential for success. Sometimes, initial hypotheses need to be revised based on new data or insights. This is a normal part of the scientific process. Revising a hypothesis doesn't mean failure, it reflects a commitment to accuracy and scientific integrity. Being flexible and willing to adapt is key to successful research. Replication is the process of repeating a study to confirm its findings. In medical research, replication and validation are crucial for building confidence in results. If a hypothesis is supported by multiple studies, it becomes more widely accepted and can influence clinical practice and policy. Developing new hypotheses drives innovation in medical research. By challenging existing knowledge and exploring new ideas, researchers can make breakthroughs that improve patient care and advance science. Encouraging creativity and critical thinking is essential for generating impactful hypotheses. Let's look at a real-world example: drug development. Researchers often start with a hypothesis that a new compound will treat a specific disease. Through preclinical and clinical trials, they test this hypothesis, collecting data on safety and effectiveness. This process illustrates how hypothesis development guides every stage of medical research. In public health research, hypotheses might focus on the impact of interventions like vaccination programs. Researchers hypothesize that increasing vaccination rates will reduce disease incidence. By testing this hypothesis through population studies, they provide evidence for effective public health policies. Clinical practice often inspires hypotheses about patient care. For example, a doctor might notice that a certain treatment leads to better outcomes in some patients. This observation can lead to a formal hypothesis and a study to test whether the treatment is truly effective, ultimately improving patient care. Collaboration is vital in hypothesis development. Medical research often involves multidisciplinary teams including doctors, scientists, statisticians, and patients. Working together brings diverse perspectives and expertise, leading to stronger hypotheses and more robust research. Advances in technology have transformed hypothesis development in medical research. Tools like big data analytics, artificial intelligence, and electronic health records allow researchers to generate and test hypotheses more efficiently. Technology also enables the analysis of large datasets, revealing patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. Increasingly, patients are involved in hypothesis development. Their experiences and insights can help identify important research questions and shape hypotheses that address real-world needs. Patient involvement ensures that research remains relevant and impactful. Translational research bridges the gap between laboratory discoveries and clinical practice. Hypotheses developed in the lab are tested in real-world settings, ensuring that scientific advances lead to tangible benefits for patients. This approach accelerates the translation of research into improved health outcomes. Medical research is a continuous learning process. Each study builds on previous work, refining hypotheses and expanding knowledge. Embracing a mindset of lifelong learning helps researchers stay current and open to new ideas, driving progress in the field. Medical research is increasingly global. International collaborations allow researchers to test hypotheses across diverse populations and settings, strengthening the generalizability of findings. Sharing data and expertise across borders accelerates scientific discovery and improves health worldwide. The open science movement promotes transparency and sharing in research. By making data, methods, and findings accessible, researchers can build on each other's work and test hypotheses more efficiently. Open science fosters collaboration and accelerates progress in medical research. The future of hypothesis development in medical research is bright. Emerging technologies, global collaboration, and patient involvement are transforming the way hypotheses are generated and tested. Staying adaptable and embracing innovation will be key to advancing medical science in the years ahead. Let's recap what we've covered. Hypothesis development is a foundational step in medical research, guiding the entire scientific process. From formulating clear, testable statements to designing studies and interpreting results, each stage is crucial for advancing knowledge and improving health outcomes. Remember, a strong hypothesis is specific, testable, and grounded in evidence. If you're developing a hypothesis for medical research, start with a clear research question, review the literature, and define your variables precisely. Collaborate with others, seek feedback, and be open to revising your ideas. These practical steps will help you create strong, impactful hypotheses that drive meaningful research. There are many resources available to help with hypothesis development, including textbooks, online courses, and professional organizations. Engaging with these resources can deepen your understanding and provide valuable guidance as you embark on your research journey. Curiosity is at the heart of scientific discovery. By asking questions and seeking answers, researchers push the boundaries of what is known. Encouraging curiosity and critical thinking is essential for developing innovative hypotheses and advancing medical science. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of hypothesis development in medical research. By understanding and applying the principles we've discussed, you can contribute to meaningful scientific progress and help improve health outcomes for people everywhere. Keep asking questions, stay curious, and continue learning as you embark on your own research journey.